I genuinely believe that there are corporate funded social media disinformation campaigns uh, created with the intention of sowing division amongst the citizens of this planet, but more specifically the Western world, and also just instilling as much confusion as possible into us so that we are distracted and disoriented and unable to see the large scale social and environmental injustices that are taking place at the hands of the very people who are trying to keep us distracted um, in order to maintain the function of this greed motivated profit seeking death machine. Sorry, I'm taking care of a little dog and she's down there. Maybe I'll like bring her up here or something. But yeah, I have some like notes of just stuff that I wanted to talk about. Some little just things I wanted to say. Yeah, let me get this dog. Yeah, this is Pico. Where are you? Here. She's very muddy right now. I'm just taking care of her, but she's really sweet. Yeah, let's get into this. Let's talk about it. Let me just refer to my script. Yeah, honestly, I'll just read off this because, yeah, it's whatever. I'll just go in between like reading off this and like speaking off the cuff. So, by sowing confusion and promoting division, powerful entities perpetuate cycles of exploitation while deflecting accountability. This strategy is exemplified by the intentional obfuscation surrounding topics such as climate change, vaccines, and the infamous New Jersey drones. Social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, laden with corporate-sponsored disinformation campaigns, are now the battlegrounds for public perception, where comment sections become war zones of ideological division. And I mean this in a literal sense. The frontier of cultural conversation takes place within Instagram and TikTok comments. This divisive strategy is a deliberate response to the resurgence of class consciousness, ignited in part by figures like Luigi Mangione, who have reframed systemic exploitation in a way that resonates with a disillusioned public. As the narratives of the powerful begin to unravel, their disinformation efforts escalate in an attempt to pit neighbor against neighbor and obscure the true sources of harm. In the case of Stephen Donziger, a human rights lawyer imprisoned for nearly 3 years after successfully holding Chevron accountable for one of the largest environmental catastrophes in history, serves as a chilling example of the lengths corporations will go to silence dissent. For over 3 decades, Chevron pumped billions of gallons of cancer-causing oil waste into Ecuador's Amazonian rainforest, causing immeasurable harm to indigenous communities, many of whom still face imminent risk of death from toxic exposure. Donziger's persecution represents more than an attack on an individual. It symbolizes a broader assault on environmental justice and the communities fighting to defend their lives and their land. Corporate greed, coupled with environmental destruction and human rights abuses, forms the foundation of a death machine that profits from exploitation while using disinformation to gaslight the public into misidentifying their enemies. By framing neighbors, immigrants, or opposing ideological groups as the source of societal problems, these campaigns deflect attention away from the systemic harm caused by a profit-driven elite. Now, these words only mean so much, right? And I feel like everyone already knows this. The thing is, we stand at like such a critical moment in history where the people are beginning to wake up to this, realizing that we have been lied to and that the world is being stripped of its resources. There are massive injustices happening across the world, from what's happening in Palestine to the unending destruction of the Amazon rainforest, causing irreparable damage to indigenous communities. The question is, what do we do about it? And I think so much of the conversation is misled and steered in the wrong directions by these very social media disinformation campaigns that I am referring to. But I really think that the solution is not in trying to tear down the system. I think that what Luigi Mangione did was important because it woke people up. But we aren't going to solve this problem through violence. We can't end violence through violence. And it's also just not logistical. We tear down capitalism, and then what? Like, we still need food. We still need medicine. So, I really think the solution is in generating autonomy, creating systems that meet our needs, collaborating, organizing amongst each other, and emancipating ourselves by ending our reliance on this death machine, because we are the ones feeding it, because it feeds us. But if we can find a way to feed ourselves, we won't have to feed this death machine anymore, and it will starve. And the thing is, the collapse of capitalism is inevitable. Charles Eisenstein put it so beautifully when he said something along the lines of, if you believe infinite growth is possible on a finite planet, then collapse is inevitable. It stands to reason that this system that just consumes and consumes and consumes eventually is going to run out of stuff to eat. And it will die. And its death is inevitable. But the question is, will we die with it, or will we find a way to live independent of it before it dies? And that's what we need to be focusing on. Ignore all of the bullshit in the comments. Ignore it. It's not real. It's lies. It's bullshit. That's what it is. Focus on organizing with your immediate circle, with your family, with your community. Focus on finding ways to prosper independent of this system. Grow food. That's a huge, huge thing. I've made videos about this before, about mutual aid and how it holds the key to our liberation. And I can refer to you to those videos. I can leave them in the comments. Actually, I'll link a specific video, and in the comment section, or sorry, in the description of that video that I'll link in this one, there's like a whole bunch of other videos that you can watch by a bunch of other creators that will allow you to understand how we can actually free ourselves from this and enter into an age of prosperity. And the thing is, as dark and as horrifying as this conversation is, it's just the way it is. And these issues are not going to be solved by ignoring them. They need to be faced. They need to be overcome. And it's okay to feel scared, but ultimately, there is actually no reason to feel scared. And it's okay, because we will make it out of this. We will be okay. If there's one thing that I believe in more than anything, it's the power of us, of humans, of the human spirit, the indomitable human spirit. That's our symbol, I think. That's what we need to remember. We need to remember who we are, and that we've existed on this planet for a long time. And we've remembered and forgotten several times the power that we hold, but this time we've forgotten very deeply. But it's time we remember. It's time we come back to ourselves, and we choose actively to create a better world for our descendants, to create a world where they don't have to forget, where they don't have to remember. Because what it means to be human will be written on the walls of the temples of tomorrow. Let's open these channels, let's open these paths for our descendants, for our children and our children's children. I believe in them, I believe in their future. But we have to believe in ourselves in order to create that future for them. So, let's get to work. Right, Pico? Right? Right. Yeah. We got this. Don't worry. Just do. Have faith. Trust your gut. Trust your heart. And make sure you think, too. But yeah, this is it. This is our lives. And this is the choice. So make the choice. Thank you.